No. Good morning, Nick.
All right. Let's get this party started. All right. Oh, I'm supposed to be using my sexy voice today because someone told me on YouTube that I have an annoying voice. So I'm going to try to bring it down for a hot second because this is not going to last very long. So this is my Quiet Storm. For those of you who know about Quiet Storm voices, I will attempt to. Good morning, Nick. Thank you so much for my solid gold. I got it in the slide deck. Oh, I went out of character. I'm supposed to be cool.
You're listening to the sounds.
Yes. Welcome, ATL Kim. Happy week 37, Audria. Good morning, Myron.
Good morning. We're doing already.
Good morning, Christy.
Sounds of the. Where my cat daddy's at? Cool cats and lovely ladies.
Good morning, Mila. All right, that's enough of that. Happy Saturday, Christina.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this week, not that week, but this week. Well, yeah.
Yeah. Good morning, Real Line to DJ. Welcome, L Boogie 17. Oh, yes, we missed Michael Dean last week, didn't we? You were so missed. They were like, "Where Michael at? We leaving."
Tending to these sick kids, daddy duty.
Yep, daddy duty. Welcome, Kelsey. Welcome. First time. We really appreciate you being here. Where are you coming from, Kelsey? Welcome, Minnesota. Twin Doll Crystal. Thank you so much, Drea. It's the misogyny of the world. You know how that goes. Alonzo. Hello. Is that South Dakota? And good morning, Raywin. I love this excitement. I love these all caps. I pre-ordered my Prince Diamonds and Pearls Super Deluxe from Amazon. I can't wait to get mine. I ordered the CDs with what's most important, which is the Blu-ray. Cool.
Oh, what's up, Deja? You went to see Beyonce the other day, huh? Lucky.
Yeah, lucky.
Boy, I tell you, I didn't go to the show, but just being downtown in Seattle earlier that day, you could tell the vibe was totally different. I was like, "Well, there's a lot of sisters walking around down here. What's going on?" I seen the t-shirts. I was like, "Oh yeah."
Yeah. I gave Prince all my Beyonce money, like the box set. Welcome, Susu's Petals. Thank you so much for being here in person. We so appreciate everybody who can make it in person. It's so much more fun with you all here. Welcome, Vanessa. Brooklyn is in the house.
What's up, Frank?
D. What's up, Frank? Okay, Beyonce's getting that love. This is me too. This is me too. I am watching that mailbox. I can't wait. Good morning, Disco Hicks. Hey, Stone Freak.
Oh, Freak.
Prince Malik is in the house.
What's up, Malik?
We got Chip and Sparrow from Japan.
Wow, what's up? I want to go to Japan so bad.
My best friend is in Japan. He's been there for, I don't know, maybe a decade now, and I haven't gone to visit him. What kind of friend am I?
Friend that got bills.
Yeah, a friend that has bills. Welcome, Celie. All right, let's see. We working it like a job.
Like a job, yes, sir.
Love this part.
really know what this is. I just know it's Eric Lee.
It's definitely Eric Lee's, right?
I feel
It
comfortable.
is something called LP Music, Leeds Peterson Music from their album No Words. That's what we got. Good morning, Rodney. Does that mean good afternoon, people, or Georgia people? I'll go take both.
What's good, Rodney? How you doing, sir?
I hope you are well. All right. Parker City got Tony tickets.
Oh, don't get
That's
me
what's up.
started talking about the Tonys.
Yeah, the Tonys.
That's so bad. Ah,
It's Prince time, people. Thank you, Dr. Claw. That's
yeah.
what I'm talking about, Audra. Hashtag DNP Blu-ray. That's what we're talking about. Woo. Yes. Next weekend, Maya Rudolph in LA. Princess is also coming to New York on September 30th at the end of the month. I'm really bad with dates. Good afternoon, Rossi Slade. Welcome. Jennifer Starr. Love that. And I love the Twirling Girls. Good morning, purple people, to Heavenly Games. My alliterative brother, Blade Brown. Welcome.
Wait.
Yes. Let's do some clapping and some loves.
Thank you.
You know, I really wish that StreamYard had the functionality where you could see like the hearts and stuff bubble up, on screen.
Oh, yeah.
That would be like super cool, because like we need some hearts and applauses and champagne and everything from Michael Dean for the amazing interview that he did with Robia Scott. And for those of you who go like, who be Robia? Robia is Pearl of Diamond and Pearl. It was, I think it was one of your best interviews ever. It didn't top Eric Lee's, of course.
Wow.
But it was a really, really awesome interview. Thank you so much for doing that.
Salute to Robia, man. She made that great.
Yes, she did.
And I see you, Deja. Hilarious. I see you coming.
Yes. So much. Yes. We got some more love for the podcast. I love this. Yes, I'm going to take that. I saw the cast. Michael, I love that. Okay.
All right.
Lisa. All right. And I love your name, Ed Music Lover. Thank you so much for joining us. All right. We're going to get this party started because we got a lot to talk about today. And we haven't even gotten through the housekeeping. That's what happens when you listen to Eric Leeds. The music just takes over. All right. So we're going to try to get through the housekeeping super fast. We are at week 37. Can you believe it? Week 37. Can you believe it?
Outrageous.
It is.
Richie.
I forgot about that. Outrageous. Yes. Week 37. Let that soak in. We've been doing this for 37 weeks straight. Yes. What did Prince do this week? And I love this gift from El Dabara. I never tire of it. And hopefully you got the reference of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, one of the greatest films of all time. All right. The estate of Prince Rogers Nelson is not affiliated, associated, or connected with the What Did Prince Do This Week book club series. We're going week to week, not date to date. Hopefully everybody knows what that means by now, but that's okay if you don't. You can follow the detailed schedule at the book club website, which you got a QR code and bit.ly link. And what you want to rock is, do you not have your book today?
Stop it.
Yes, the expanded edition. I was about to say you didn't do your homework. All right. And these will be archived on my YouTube channel, which is at Polished Solid, as well as Michael Dean's YouTube channel, which is at MDean. Please subscribe, like, and help spread the word because we committed. So we just want more and more people to read along with us because these are books worth reading, because it's all about Prince working it like a job every day. And the hashtag, go ahead.
I was seeing these comment. Was it outrageous?
Yeah.
What did I say? Incredible?
I thought
I don't even remember. See, that's
Oh,
I'm
I
old.
think it said outrageous.
Oh, okay. See,
But
that's
Celia's saying, please, no outrageous.
come on, make us show brother Richie some love. Come on, man. He's dancing on the ceiling right now.
He is dancing on the ceilings right now. Oh, thank you so much. That really means a lot, especially since being dissed for my voice this week. Let's see.
What are you talking about? This in your voice.
Yeah,
You
so like
can't listen. Let me tell you something. Don't listen or read these. Not talking about the comments here.
yes.
Don't listen to them people. You don't know what those people are in their life, and they just I'm mad. I hate her voice. And you see how it gets into your head and get your second. Man,
Yes, 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 it does. You're
like,
absolutely right, Michael Dean. I am going to do that. Everything was outrageous that night in 1985 at the American Music Awards. All performances were amazing, but of course, our man Prince did that as he always does.
mm.
This is pretty funny, Dr. Claw. Let's see. Let's see what these saying. I wasn't able to join live for a couple weeks and haven't been straight up tapping the vein to rejoin y'all. Thankful to be here and for the archive. Thank you so much, Dee, for that. We really appreciate you for being here. All right. So let's get through this because we got a lot to talk about. So what we played was That's All There Is to It by Eric Leeds and Paul Peterson from their 2017 album No Words. And these are all the players. This song was actually composed by Eric Leeds because the one we listened to last week was actually double composed by Eric Leeds and Paul Peterson. And the same players from last week, except for an added trumpet by Brian Lynch.
Matt, a quick shout to Paul Peterson.
Sure.
Like, I'm gonna just say it real quick. When I met him in person for the first time when I was in Minneapolis, where we were at the what's the place where Prince had his show?
The Capri?
The Capri. Yes, it was an event at the Capri, and it was a lunchtime. Well, we went to get something to eat, and Mr. P, I was tripping. I was like, "That's St. Paul right there." That's again, this is the first one. So I'm just like, "What?" And we was like, "Yo, let's get something to eat real quick." So we just go outside. My man was suited and booted, and it was a street fair or something outside. Mad black folks out there, great. But this brother, man, he was so smooth with his just like his whole personality, Paul, man. Like we were out there and we was getting something to eat. We were just sitting there chopping it up. And you could see like just his personality, man. He was such a I don't say this in a great way. He was such a player about himself. Like he was just young ladies and people was coming up and we was just talking. He was just chopping it up so smooth. Like he was just around the element. I was just watching. I was like, yo, he's a cool cat for real. Like, and it was just cool, man. So I always salute him because he didn't act funny style or nothing. And we had a good ass time just sitting there. I think we were eating hot dogs or chicken or something just outside, but he was just so cool, man. And he's always been cool. But for the first time, just meeting him and going off of just what you saw on the records or whatever, I was like, yo, he wanted a real one. Like, I was like, yes, he was a cool cat, man. So I always say salute to St. Paul.
Salute to St. Paul. I mean, and obviously an incredible musician.
Yes.
And vocalist. So we love St. Paul. This is
funny.
Yes, funny. Yes. Nothing but love. All right. So, and if you don't have LP music, you should definitely try to hunt it down. It's a really solid album. All right. So let's get into it. Week 37 of 1983. But before we do that, let's see.
Right.
Okay. Thank you, Celie. I appreciate you. Yes, but way cooler and can actually play instruments. Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Real good, brother. Good.
Yeah. Yeah. We're gonna have to get St. Paul on. Like we got it's just that I would want to talk about stuff you guys probably wouldn't want to talk about. I love St. Paul's first and second solo albums.
Don't get me started on the first album. Ugh.
Yeah, it's really, really good. Yes, Intimacy. Oh my God. Welcome, Natalie. It's so great to see you. Natalie was my Liv Warfield buddy last night at the listening party for Edge. Yes. All right. So week 37. Okay. Before we get started to week 37, I need my Prince card revoked. Let's talk about it. So, did you do your Baby I'm a Star homework? So, last week when Michael wasn't here, I was a little sad because Michael wasn't here. Also, wasn't thinking straight. Because of course I've heard the backward masking on Baby I'm a Star. I was like, I haven't heard that, but yes, I've heard it a million times. But let me tell you why it didn't actually like connect. I don't listen to Purple Rain, the album. I listen to the Purple Rain rehearsals. I listen to the Purple Rain sound checks. And then, after that, with everything else, I listen to after shows. Then I get to studio recordings. And then I get to the live shows. Because for me, the rehearsals and the after shows are like miles apart from the actual live shows. And so I probably haven't listened to the studio version of Baby I'm a Star since 84, 85, because I never listened to the studio version. I never listened to the studio version of Baby I'm a Star. I always listen to the rehearsal or a live show. The same way, Michael, I never listen to the Sign of the Times album. I only pull out the Sign of the Times album if I want to hear Dorothy Parker, because it's not in Sign of the Times live.
Right.
I'm the girl who recorded the Sign of the Times live VHS on a cassette tape to listen to it, because that was my Sign of the Times.
Yeah.
It was Sign of the Times live. And so that's the reason why I was like, of course I've heard this. But anyway, so for those of you who thought is she really a Prince fan? Of course we've heard this Baby I'm a Star backward masking. So I apologize for that senior moment. I'm also getting old, so that might be a little bit to do with it too. All right.
Senior moment.
Yes.
Your credit's getting a little full there, but we're gonna charge you. That's
yeah. But the thing is, I rarely listen to Purple Rain studio version. So what I've done, if you go back to last week's accompanying playlist, I actually found this really cool short YouTube video on backward masking in music, sort of like the history of it. It's like the fourth or fifth video down. And then also someone had reversed the backwards message in Baby I'm a Star. So if you ever want it, if you don't have the music software to reverse it yourself, someone on YouTube has done it. And then I also added some videos of Peggy Mac from the Sunset Sound interviews, because we talked a lot about Peggy Mac last week. So after the show, I added a lot more videos to the week 36 accompanying playlist. Yes. Yep. That's what it says. Thank you so much, Ed Music Lover, for the backwards part of Baby I'm a Star. And yes, can't get enough of sound checks after shows and rehearsals. Michael Parks, you're a man after my own heart. Yes. I was like that at first, but I've come around decades later, because
what?
You haven't heard my conversation about
I'm listening.
Okay, for those of you who don't know, and I've said this many times, so you have to understand, we're talking about real time. In real time, when Purple Rain came out, I was 13 years old. I had been listening to Prince for probably about 3 years. My first album was Dirty Mind, obviously controversy, 1999. When Purple Rain came out, I was like, what is going on? This is too pop. And Baby I'm a Star was one of the poppiest of the pops. I was like, this is not weird, quirky Prince. And another thing too, Michael, I don't think I've said this before, is it was Baby I'm a Star was just too darn happy. I was used to moody Prince. I was like, what is this happy Prince?
Man.
And my brain was like, does not compute.
You treat Purple Rain like it's so it sounded like Purple Rain was your around the world in a day almost.
It was. It was because like, and actually I was like, I got on my knees and praised God when Around the World and the Day came out, because I was like, okay, that's my Prince.
Really?
Yes. Yeah, so I was all about Around the World in the Day. And so for me, it was like, but because like it was, like I was used to like minor chords, like I don't know, it was like all these major chords, and it was just, and then also it was, I've said this before, the whole James Brown nod, and I love James Brown, and I was like, Prince doesn't need to be James Brown because Prince is Prince. Why is he trying to be like James Brown? And that's when it really came out in Baby I'm a Star. So it had two strikes against it. And it wasn't until maybe 2 or 3 years ago, it might even be this year, that I actually started like, no, it was last year. It's last year's when it was when I started understanding how amazing Baby I'm a Star, because like for me, Baby I'm a Star and It's Gonna Be a Beautiful Night were very close in feel, and I'll take It's Gonna Be a Beautiful Night any day over Baby I'm a Star, at least up until last year. But now I understand the power of Baby I'm a Star. It just took 40 years to get there, 39, 40 years.
Wow, okay.
So that just shows you how your relationship with the song can actually transform. And the opposite can happen, actually. Like a song that you love, you don't love it anymore. And yeah, but so I understand.
We need to get some Purple Rain attitude adjustment courses. Well, that's going to be the podcast that immediately follows this one. I'll just have you pry your eyes open and slap the song and just play. Stop it. Baby, I'm a Star, Baby, I'm a Star. I think because the first time I really paid attention to the song was when I saw it in a movie, and it was such a celebratory, like, you know what I mean? So that's in my mind. That's how I think of it. Like, the kid coming back on stage and let me tear this up, and he's the man, baby, take your picture, sweetie. I got time. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
But I know what you're saying. For us, you were into him before I was, so I could see where you would have that people.
Yeah, it was just like, I mean, like, think about it. Going from Dirty Mind to Purple Rain. Dirty Mind and Purple Rain Prince are, for me, two totally different things. And like for me, like Controversy, a lot of people talk about Dirty Mind, as being like his punk record. But for me, Controversy was his punk record because he was just so anti-establishment. So yeah. But I'm growing to love it. See, Man Ray says, Alma D'Angelo, it took me 40 years to truly appreciate the Dirty Mind. Yeah, it takes time. Like a fine wine. Like sometimes,
giving you time to get the last one straight. Who was that? Was that Rocky?
Oh, I'm not good on my hip hop.
Oh Lord, let's just keep moving. How about we just?
Why am I not good with my hip hop? Because I only listen to Prince. That's all I listen to. Yes. So there we go. And
50 years.
50 years. Yep. And part of it had to do with Prince, like listening to the Black Album and his stance, and then also the Real Music by Real Musicians, that was drilled in my head because I was listening, you know how that goes.
That's like mom.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Let's keep it moving.
True confession.
Yeah. See. Okay. I got a true. Yes. Very true. All right. I didn't really appreciate Baby until the movie. Like you, I like the edgier songs of Dirty Mind through 1999. And for me, it's like when it comes to edgy, I'm not even talking about. I'll finish this, Michael, and we'll be done with it. For me, it's not even about the lyrics, and how racy it is. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the music and how experimental or quirky the music was, because I'm all about like the music. But I love this, Kim. Prince wasn't the boss of me. I should have not have listened to Prince and played hip hop earlier. But like I said, I told you this, my first hip hop album was a Low End Theory by Tribe Called Quest because I love jazz so much and they sample jazz. So that was my entryway into hip hop was, through Tribe because of jazz.
Gotcha.
Oh, cool. That's so JD, we're aligned. Very cool. And let's see. Not really. Only because what I mean by that, like if you talk to me, you'll figure that out pretty early on. So like it really frustrates me. Okay, it's not true confession. So we're gonna keep it moving. 7 studio visits this week. This is how I like it. Look at that, Michael Dean.
Ooh, working.
Working. So Sunday we got Overdose for Baby I'm a Star. We got a remix of Baby I'm a Star. We got overdubs and a mix of Electric Intercourse. We got vocal overdubs for Purple Rain on Tuesday. We got a mix of Purple Rain on Wednesday. We got some more mixing of Purple Rain. We got mixing and overdubs for Irresistible B. We got overdubs for G Spot on Friday, as well as Irresistible B mix and overdubs. And then on Saturday, we got I don't know. I think I can't basically. Oh, Wendy and Lisa. That's what it is. Wendy and Lisa vocal overdubs for Irresistible B. Yes, Kim. Love this. Every day. All day. Yes. Prince was working this week and last week as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I'm sure. All right. So let's get into it. Sunday, look at that, 10.5 hours of Baby I'm a Star overdubs when he's had over, I don't know, probably 30 hours. I didn't count them. Last week he did overdubs for Baby I'm a Star, at least like for 20 to 25 hours. So there's even more overdubs for Baby I'm a Star. Prince is overdubbing this song like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So
and here you are just talking about it crazy, but that's okay. All the work this brother done put in.
I don't like it.
Get out your feelings.
Michael Dean, to be honest, that's another. I've been changing this is actually one of the reasons why I know some people have probably been questioning why, of all people, did I want to read this book, knowing that I'm not a huge fan of Purple Rain, the album, right? And so, and the reason being is that I really, first of all, love this book because for me, it's really about Prince's work ethic and like how much he put into his artistry. And then it is also a weekly reminder, like when I'm complaining about how much work I need to do, the Prince worked harder. And so I can find time to put my Prince projects in my week, even if work is killing me, because Prince gave us his all, so I should give it my all. But also to really listen to these songs, because like I said, I don't listen to the studio recordings. So I listen to these songs now on a weekly basis, when we're talking about them, and I have a new profound respect for them. So it's working on multiple levels for me. I still prefer Baby I'm a Star rehearsal any day, all day. But I do have a more of an appreciation. And when I think about critiquing Prince, I do think about now, like, he spent a lot of time on this. But I will tell you this, Michael, and any student, if you interviewed any of my students, they will tell you that I tell them this: the time that you spend on a project does not make it good. Just because you spend a lot of time on something, time does not equal quality. Like it's not that simple, because sometimes you can work on something for a very short while and it's incredible, or you might like overwork something if you work on it for too long. So I just like to, say that, it is about the time. Obviously, he cared about these songs. Otherwise, he wouldn't have spent so much time on them. Like all the time he spent on Computer Blue, all the time he's spending on Baby I'm a Star. Obviously, this was really, really pivotal for him, this album, because he was putting his heart into it. And we don't just want to dismiss the work that he put into it. But, music is personal, and, you connect to it or not, depending on how your frequencies are, and and your frequencies change over courses of several decades, because we're talking about almost 40 years now. So it's pretty crazy to think about. We've been living with these songs for almost 40 years. Isn't that crazy, Michael?
No, but I understand what you're saying. Well, I mean, I get what I understand the sentiment of that. I just think when we think about it, it's if you live a long time and something means something to you, it's not crazy that you live with it a long time. It's like it's not crazy that you're alive as long as you are, right? It's like,
Yeah.
but I understand what you're saying. I'm just looking at it from a different point of view.
No, I understand. I appreciate that.
I think it's a testament that this album, this book, a lot of us here, because this album meant so much, aside from the time he spent, or it's just that it was the right time. It was a powerful time, whether or not the music are necessarily our favorites all the time. I think the body of work in that time of space was so potent for multitudes of reasons, which is why we're talking about it, right? Like, so yeah.
Yeah, and for me, it's never really about the album. It's always about the era. There, like there's so much. It's the album, it's the movie, it's the tour, it's the posters, it's the how he changed his style. Like it's like everything. So when
turning point for sure for him.
turning point for sure. It was like pivotal. It was really important. So when I say I don't like the album, that doesn't mean that I don't like the era. I love the era. It's just that as the album as a standalone object, it wasn't one of my favorites. Like if even today, to be honest, if I had to go to a desert island and I could only take 10 Prince albums, this would not be one of them. That's just me. And let's see. I like this. Kim says it was a glow up for P. Most deaf. All right, so we're gonna get our reading on, and I think I'm gonna have Michael start reading if that's okay with you, Michael. Let's read page 162.
162. All right. Yeah. All right, here we go. I'll start with this quote.
Yeah, start with the quote.
I hear everything in my mind, but as I overdub synth parts, I flip through the presets I like until I find the sound I want for the next phrase. I listen to what tone goes with what color. I usually don't change the sounds themselves. Prince. Prince arrived late and worked for 10 and a half hours on Baby I'm a Star. Once again, it is difficult to know what Prince was overdubbing because the work had now been going on for 11 days. When you work for Prince, he was very hands-on, noted David Leonard. I mean, you would just set stuff up and he would go and he has a vision. So he would just ask you to do stuff. And if you tried things, he would like it or not. But pretty much he was driving the boat. The session ended unusually early for Prince and no mix was done. We keep going?
No, we're going to stop it there because I want to say something about this quote. The one thing that really stands out is when Prince says, I usually don't change the sound themselves when it comes to like keyboard presets, which is insane to think about. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, because most people want to like freak their patches and all of that. But Princeton was like, I don't have time for that. I'm just gonna just find the one I like, and we're gonna get this party started. So I really appreciate that about him.
Yeah, it almost now during these records, I wasn't familiar with keyboards and drum machines, so I didn't really know the sounds. But there was a time later, and I want to say it was probably the Graffiti Bridge Batman-ish era, particularly Diamonds and Pearls, where I knew what certain drum machines sounded like, and it almost took me out a little bit because I was like,
Mm.
"Oh, he's using da 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 da." I was I always thought that he was just in there tuning and making these very special sort of things. So it is interesting, when you read something like that, like, "What? No, he was just a guy like, man, buck all that. Turn it on. That sound good. Let's go." Like, "Don't you wanna flip?" "Nope."
Yeah.
We jam.
Yeah, and I want to respond to JD, and I've said this before. It's not about it being overplayed. I've never like in real time. I hated Purple Rain, the song, and I've said this before. I love the strings at the end, and this is me as a 13-year-old, and I still don't like Purple Rain as a 52-year-old. So it has nothing about it being overplayed. Just FYI. And
Eat is such a strong word.
oh, that's I've said this before, and I think Arthur's I don't know if this is Arthur's song, but Arthur has said in the past this is his bathroom song. That Purple Rain was my bathroom song. So like if I had it to go, and it still is. So welcome, Zaire. Prince used presets and still produced a very unique sound, which is a testament to his artistry. That is correct.
Mhm.
All right. And then let's see. JD says, interestingly, the comment about the presets is the same thing Jimmy Jam said on a recent interview tour
Oh,
of Flight Time Studios.
mm.
So that's really interesting. So they did the same thing, Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis.
I think both of these guys, what they had, which was so unique, particularly Prince, was the feel though of the way he played it. Was
Mm.
you couldn't dial that in. You know what I mean? Like the feel of a Prince record, the way he played it was what you couldn't duplicate that. So
And
same with yeah.
yeah, I know this from experience. So when I was in high school, I bought a keyboard. I want to say it was an Ensoniq. I can't remember what it was. I think it was an Ensoniq. And I was like, oh, I didn't buy the right keyboard. But then one of my friends, his name was Kerry, came over, and he was a masterful musician. He made it sound so amazing. And I was like, oh, I suck. Like as a keyboard player, it's not that this, keyboard sucks. It's like, I suck. So that was like a huge epiphany for me because I was like, I don't have the right equipment. But Carrie
Right.
came over and like, oh my God, it was so amazing. Yeah.
And you're making me just think that was a thing. Like when cats was getting into music, you always, well, what did they use? Or they had SB12, or they had and it almost became like you felt like you had to get the same instruments or whatever it was that they had. But then I think we come to realize, man, it didn't matter what you got. If you didn't have what it was, you could get the exact keyboard and you ain't got it though. You know what I mean? You ain't gonna be able to freak it. Or like a Prince would be able to take any drum machine or anything, and I'm gonna come out with a jam. Don't matter what it is. You know what I'm saying? I'm the thing that makes it dope, not the machine. You know what I'm saying? That's something I think Prince was great at. Like he could flip whatever.
Yeah. I love Kim's tool versus craftsperson.
Mm,
And then Zaire is saying it also speaks to Prince's sentiment that you play the tech, don't let the tech play you.
mm,
Yes. And
mm.
welcome, Just Rules. It's always a pleasure having you here. And I love this comment from Blade Brown. P would layer his sentence parts 5 to 6 times 2, which that definitely created some depth. And then I love Seeley's comment as someone who has been listening to Prince since 1978 and had seen him live for 3 tours. Before Purple Rain was just another step on the ladder. I knew he was great, and Purple Rain was just more of it. Love that, Seeley. Thank you so much. And then The fact he recorded a lot in his downstairs bedroom or living room says a lot. And let's see. I gave PR grades because of the visual. Seeing Prince was amazing. I mean, seeing Prince in concert was always amazing. Welcome the Adult Symphony Channel for being here.
Hello.
Let's see. All right, I'm just gonna. I have some people who are with me. Purple Rain isn't a favorite of mine. After being totally immersed in 1999, Purple Rain was more pop to me, but it was perfect for the movie. Exactly. So, gotta lay those parts, guitar keys. Okay, awesome. All right, so we're gonna go to Monday, which is mix and prep for remix of Baby I'm a Star, overdubs and mix for Electric Intercourse. And Prince, this is a light day for Prince, only 7.5 hours in the studio. And I will read this one and you'll get the next one. So this is Prince, the quote, "I can't leave a good idea unfinished. If I do that, it drives me nuts." So this gives us some insight into why Prince was like compelled to try to complete songs in their totality in one day. Because it was really interesting. I went back and rewatched the Peggy Mac interviews at Sunset Sound, and she was saying how, and we also read about this last week from Peggy, that most folks would do like the mixing totally separate from the recording, like months, weeks or months later, when Prince was doing all that in one day, which is insane. But he says it drove him nuts if he didn't do that. So it makes a lot of sense. Okay. The session was slated to start at 1 p.m., but was pushed until 6 p.m. I wonder what Prince was doing. Okay, that's just me. Prince was ready to put a final touch to Baby I'm a Star, and he spent much of the session mixing it. Overall, Baby I'm a Star was a track that demanded the most work, but because it would be the final song in the film, Prince likely wanted it to reflect what he heard in his head. And this is Dr. Fink. Prince was and is so dedicated to his craft, more so than any other artist from what I've read and what I know. Prince is probably at the top as far as the amount of hours that he puts into his craft. Again, working it like a job. Electric Intercourse was also mixed on this date. It is likely that work was done to the August 3rd, 1983 live recording and not the studio version of the track. It is also unclear how much overdubbing, if any, was done with this mix, and there is no indication of any additional work on it during any other session at Sunset Sound. So Prince may have felt the track wasn't working for this project and put it aside until inspiration struck him. Now, I personally think that this was a travesty. I would have, and I know, again, a lot of you out there are going to go, you're okay with Electric Intercourse not being on Purple Rain because Baby I'm a Star pretty much took its slot. But I'll take Electric Intercourse any day over the beautiful ones. That's my personal opinion. What say you, Michael Dean?
It's hard to, because the beautiful one is so cemented in my mind from the movie. That's one of the pivotal parts of the movie. Like, whoa, him. So but I love Electric Intercourse. That's a great song. I guess I would have to have seen how that performance of that song would have worked in the movie, and would it have had the same sort of dramatic impact that it has in the movie versus on the record by itself. And to me, these songs are intertwined with the movie so much. So it's hard to answer that question. Like I said, I had heard the album a little bit before I saw the movie, but when I saw the movie, it had my full attention and I was blown away. So every time after that plays in my mind when I listen to the music. You know what I mean? That's what framed me. So it's hard to say that.
Yes, so Zaire, blasphemy against the beautiful ones. But the thing for me is, okay, here we go. Prince Malik is with me. For me, when I listen to Electric Intercourse, I feel something. When I listen to the beautiful ones, I don't feel what you guys are feeling. I wish I could, but I just don't feel it. I feel like, I guess it maybe is tied into the movie. I don't believe Prince really wants Apollonia at that moment. He's being a little bit of a player, like in terms of like him singing that song because they had just met. They didn't really know each other for that long.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't get the emotional connection that was being conveyed. But I think I would have felt differently if it would have been Electric Intercourse. That's just me.
I think you would have. It would have been a different. Yeah, it would have been different. But, you know, I think Electric Intercourse by itself, going off. I mean, I'm talking about the performance from that concert, blows away the Beautiful Ones. Absolutely. That's easy.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. All right, so we're on the same pool table. You have to see Boomerang to understand what that means. All right, so David Leonard, who sat at the board, during many of the mix sessions, commented on one of the many tools in Prince's belt when it came to getting the right sound. During that period, mixing norms for Prince involved having the lexicon reverb on the drums, which involved setting up a chamber and the lexicon delay. Those were the things that were always plugged up. Sunset Sound had 3 actual live chambers, echo rooms with mics in them, and they were set off the mixing board. So when you were mixing, you could run anything through them. So anything Prince mixed during that era out of Sunset Sound, which was all of 1999 and Purple Rain, generally had a chamber on it for all those records. So again, it seems like either reverb or delays and things of that nature. Close inspection reveals that many of the songs during this period, including Baby I'm a Star and Purple Rain, contained a distinct reverb sound on the drums and often on the vocals as well. Baby I'm a Star was split into 6 pieces, including an instrumental version for use in creating a potential remix. Everything covered in the session was recorded to a single cassette tape, and the session was over at 1:30 a.m. Status, the live version of Electric Intercourse, 5 minutes and 13 seconds, remains unreleased. Maybe next year that will change.
Right.
And Terry Christian's name is written on this date, but it was scratched out, so he may not have been at the session, meaning one of the engineers. When asked whether he was there, Christian wasn't sure. So I'm really interested. I want a copy of this cassette tape split into 6 pieces.
Right.
I want to hear that.
You know what? That would be a cool thing to put out for the state if they just did like mock. I think they did that earlier this year, right? The mock cassette tapes, but it was a USB drive. But what if it was one of those and it was the 6 pieces?
Yeah.
You know, like here we're gonna start putting out those the studio mix cassette that Prince would walk out of the studio with. We're gonna print up 2,000 copies of those and sell them for $50 each. You guys want to buy it?
I would be down. I would even get a subscription. Hook me up with a subscription. I'll be ready. Yes. All right. Let's see. All right, here we go. We got Marcus. We got Disagree. The Beautiful Ones fit perfectly. Electric Intercourse didn't fit with the movie. And I agree with you, Marcus. I think Electric Intercourse wouldn't fit in the movie because Apollonia was there. I talked about this a few weeks ago. I think Electric Intercourse would have fit if Vanity was still in the movie. That's my opinion.
It could have fit. It could have fit in the barn scene. Dead ass serious. That's where it would have been perfect.
Oh my God. Yes, it would be perfect. All right. Okay. So let's move on to Tuesday. Hold on one second. Let me get to my slides and do real quick. So we got Tuesday, September 13th. We got Purple Rain, various overdubs. We got 11.5 hours, 1 p.m. until 12:30 a.m. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Overdubs, Purple Rain. Take it away, Michael. Let's do some reading.
All right. So Tuesday, September 13th, 1983. Purple Rain. One of Prince's greatest songs of all time. Stop it. I'm doing that because people are going to watch this 10 years from now, some kids, and come across this. I don't want y'all to think we're talking crazy on Purple Rain. It's great. It's great. We just jaded.
We are not jaded, but we'll do it for the children. Yeah, Purple Rain is the most amazing song that Prince ever recorded. There you go.
One of.
Okay, one of.
One of.
That's a little
All
bit
right.
better.
Here's a quote. I can hear my influence in Purple Rain in the harmony, but I don't know if that's coming from him or from Wendy and Lisa because they've also assimilated some of the modality
Mhm.
of the open tunings. And that's from Joni Mitchell. The fact that Joni Mitchell could hear her influence in Prince's music reveals how much her music inspired him. He expanded on this during a 1985 MTV interview. Joni Mitchell taught me a lot about color and sound, and to her, I'm very grateful. Now that he had wrapped up work on Baby I'm a Star, Prince refocused on the title track. For the first time since mid-August, he began adding overdubs to the song. For 7 hours, he corrected mistakes he heard in the live mix, including re-recording parts of his own solo, which was probably overdubbed during this session. Prince knows what he wants, explained Mercury. Any leader of a band does. Prince was ruthless with anything he felt could be made better. And like he done with Baby I'm a Star and other songs from the live August benefit show, he replaced parts recorded by the band members with his own. As usual, this was done to expedite the process. I have a communication problem sometimes when I'm trying to describe music to others in the studio, he explained.
Let's stop there because
Okay.
I want to talk about re-recording parts of his own solo. And what's crazy is that he even like overdubbed his solo. It's I don't like re-recording parts of his own solo is insane to me. And like imagine, because they have to punch in and punch out. We don't have like digital
Right.
audio workstations at this point. I mean, that's like crazy time. And we're not going to read the rest of 165 just because we want people to read some of the book. Let's jump to the last paragraph on the next page where it says for the last 4 hours.
On page 165?
166.
Oh, sorry. All right. For the last 4 hours of the session, Prince had McCurry bounce the tracks, preparing for the mix the following day. Once this was finished, a cassette copy was made of the session and it wrapped up at 12:30 a.m. I have a question. And seeing just what we've been talking about, and I seen Reggie B said something. He says, I'll have to admit, Purple Rain is my least played Prince album. And we've had this conversation, but I just want to ask again, why do some of us don't discredit Purple Rain, but why do we treat it uh like the conversation we had earlier? Why do hardcore fans have this sort of take on the Purple Rain album that I don't want, don't listen to it? Is it why do we feel, is it because it was so mainstream that we want to sort of appear like that's not the underground Prince, that's what y'all love? We love it. What is that? Is that what it is? Or
It is. It's not for me because I listen to. I mean, right now, that's all I'm listening to right now is Purple Rain rehearsals. So
which
it's
are the
really,
Purple Rain songs,
which are Purple Rain songs.
right?
But I could say the same thing, Michael, about Sign of the Times. I never listened to the Sign of the Times album ever. I always listen to Sign of the Times live. The only time I pull out Sign of the Times, the album, is when I want to listen to the Ballad of Dorothy Parker.
Okay.
And it might be like one or two other songs, but I personally, so for me, it's not about the songs per se. It's about the studio versions of those songs compared to the live versions. I'm only speaking for myself.
Sure.
I can't speak for other people. And so I'll give you another instance. One of my favorite singers on the face of the earth is Alice Smith. If anybody knows who Alice Smith is, I know a lot of people probably don't know who Alice Smith is. If you see Alice Smith live,
She have a song called "Be Easy" or something. Is that?
yes.
I love that song. It's the only song I know her from.
Yeah. If you see Alice Smith live, perform those songs, it is like night and day. Listen to the studio recordings. I never listen to her albums. Anytime she comes live, I will go see her in a heartbeat. If she plays 2 shows, 3 shows back to back, I will see every single set of that show. I've done that a gazillion times because I love her live performance, and it does not translate to the live performance. And sometimes I've heard her songs live for years before I hear the studio version. And the same with Bilal, for that matter. When he was touring heavily, he was performing new songs that hadn't been recorded yet. And then when I listened to the studio version, they paled in comparison to the live performance.
So it's all like you feel this way because you have a little more information.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, from a person who is not as deeply into it and doesn't have access to the other takes of these songs,
Right.
it's because you have other information. But I'm saying and I'm just trying to get in for the frame of an idea of somebody who's listening to this, who's coming into this and not understanding, like, why are we talk about these songs like this? Do we have the same sort of sentiment? Somebody said because it's more commercial or mainstream. Do you feel that way about an album like Diamonds and Pearls, which I feel like a super mainstream, a concerted effort to be a mainstream Prince project? Do people not listen to that as for those same reasons, or?
We'd have to bring in somebody else. Obviously, I'm sort of at the end of the day, I love all Prince albums. I don't care where. I mean, all Prince albums have gems on them. And when I say gems, I mean like songs you just can't live without. And Purple Rain is no different. And for me, everybody should know is Computer Blue. Computer Blue is like one of the most amazing songs that has ever been created by anybody. And so I just live for live music. It's the energy that you get from live music. And
But you could argue that argument about any Prince album if you go that route.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, you can, but there are certain albums. Well, the first thing that popped into my head was Madhouse. I prefer the studio recordings only because I never really saw Prince. I mean, yes, Dorothy Parker and 4, yeah, I understand, but that body of work was never performed by Prince live. Like he had the band with Eric and Dr. Fink. It wasn't Prince. It was Eric Lees and Dr. Fink and Dale Alexander and Levi. So I always want to listen to the studio recording of Madhouse 8 because that's all we got. But if, let's say, Prince toured as Madhouse and they performed Madhouse 8 live, I'm sure that I wouldn't listen to the album and that I would be listening to like the rehearsals and the live takes and all of that. So
I want to add too, in a world that's controlled by Prince, we would never heard these rehearsals, right? Because he wants you to hear the art that he presenting to you and what you see live. But his intention is never for you to listen to those rehearsals because he never put them out. There was a rare chance that he released a rehearsal, but that wasn't never his get down. He wants you to listen to Purple Rain, the album, and to go, see the concert. He wants you to listen to Sign of the Times, the record, and to see the movie. But he's not releasing these rehearsal versions that we love. I'm just trying to give it in terms of a mind of a person coming into this. When we talk about it so much, we have to remember the Prince never put those out. That his intention is for you not to listen to that.
Yeah.
I mean, he would have released that.
No, I understand, Michael, but you have to understand, and again, to give some context to everybody here, when I was in my teens, I was trading tapes. And we were trading tapes of rehearsals. And so I've been listening to this stuff all my life.
Yeah, absolutely. I know. I'm just saying, but in a world created by Prince, though.
No, I understand. But
listen to those.
Yes, yeah, in a world created by Prince. But there was never, maybe for a very short period of time when I was getting acclimated, like my ear was getting acclimated to Prince, because like I said before, there was a time where I couldn't even distinguish Morris's voice from Prince when I was really in my early teens. And it took me probably, I don't know, 2, 3 years to actually distinguish those voices because, and so it took a minute there. And I guess, to kind of go, I think it was Mila says that it definitely has come off like you're not a real fan if you like the more mainstream commercial projects, which is sad. I guess my point of view is that Prince recorded so many albums that I want to talk about all of them. And that's actually one of the reasons why I started doing the symposia. But because before Sign of the Times, the deluxe box set, a lot of people weren't even talking about Sign of the Times, up until that point. And I thought it was a travesty that people weren't talking about Sign of the Times. People don't talk about Love Sexy. People don't talk about Batman. There are like so many albums. The Love Somewhere album, there's just so many albums we could be talking about. Rainbow Children, and that's actually the reason why I started doing the symposia, because all Prince albums should be regarded as something to listen to. So I think I don't know. I think it's a little bit of that the Purple Rain is the one that gets talked about the most. So we want to spread the love to Today Batman. Is today a Batman Day, by the way?
It is actually.
Yeah. So we should be talking about Batman. I think it's a brilliant album, just as brilliant as
big seller, one of his mainstream albums, right?
Yeah, I love Batman. Yeah, it's just and for me again, the entire era. So like the videos, the shoes with the bat symbol on it, it's just so much.
No, but just to kind of go back real quickly and we'll move forward though. It's just, I think it is an interesting thing to think about, particularly to talk amongst us as fans. If we're trying, if we try to get other people and we're trying to spread the word and the legacy, that I think we sometimes have to be careful that we're not we have such a bias in a great way, right? Because there's so much great work and we've listened to we have so much more information than people coming into it that we don't want to let all the information we know about it sort of get in the way of maybe letting somebody understand, yo, you like that album? Great. That's why he put it out there for you to like it. You may not have heard some of this other stuff, but that's all okay. This album stands on its own for what it means to you and what it has always meant to other people. Once you get into it, you might be surprised that you'll hear versions of these songs that you'll be like, whoa, okay. But then I think also we have to also remember, we need to remember that this album is based off of some live recordings.
Right.
So the much as we talk about, we like the live stuff. Well, this got the live stuff on it.
Right.
Sort of. Which is, I think, another reason why I think it is great as it is, because it has that live version of Prince that we talk about is literally on this album, which it was never on any other album previous to this.
But it was a lot of overdubbing, though.
Absolutely. But it's still, in its essence, the core of it, that what we feel is that live feel. At least that's what his intention is for us to understand. It's alive. That's why you got that crowd noise. He wants you to know, and he wants you to see it on that thing that we played this. But I'm just giving a different take on it. I'm not, again, I love the rehearsals too, so don't get me wrong. But because I know they exist and I've listened to them. A lot of people don't.
Yeah, so I want to this comment from Heavenly. As Purple Rain is usually entry point for non-Prince heads, I feel it's important to publicly embrace and revere his most mainstream commercial notable releases. And so Heavenly is definitely with you, Michael, and I hear you very loud and clear. And I see, we want to give love to Arms of Orion, but if I start saying how much I love Arms of Orion, it's not true. I would be lying. It's just
no one's asking you not to be lying. I'm just saying. But somebody might be like, "There's a rehearsal version of Arms of Orion that blows the album version." I was like, "Okay, you have a little more information." That's okay.
Yeah, I don't know. We're gonna go on a little tangent. Just walk with me for like 1 minute. So I'm a designer by trade, Michael. And a designer, the essence of a designer is problem solving. You figure out what's working, what's not working. How can we make it better?
You're talking to a professional graphic artist, so I hear you. I'm listening.
Right? So do you understand, you understand that concept that everything, all design, all music is not created equal.
Absolutely.
And there's something called quality.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's different levels of quality in anything, right?
Yep.
So what bothers me as a person who believes in craft, and this idea of quality and excellence, we kind of live in a world right now where everything is excellent. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you can't criticize, you can't have like constructive criticism of anything. This is kind of where we are. And I'm not even talking about Prince. I'm just talking about just culturally.
Mm-hmm.
And I and because music is so personal and emotional in terms of how you connect with the song or don't connect with the song,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I would be lying if I said I loved every single Prince song, because
Right.
I don't love them equally. I just don't. And I could say, I could negate my own agency as a listener and just go, Prince was amazing. Everything he did was amazing. But that wouldn't be who I am, and I would be negating myself
Mm-hmm.
as again, at my core, I'm a designer. Like that's who I am. And so I don't know. It's just I hear you. Like you don't. I mean, I think also when I'm curious if you're saying this, because I think what you're saying is like there's family business, and then there's like
I like that.
public business. So like we need to keep our family business behind doors. And if that's the case, then I should never talk ill of
No.
Arms of Orion, which I don't have to. I don't have to mention Arms of Orion ever again, and allow the Arms of Orion lovers to take up the space so that Arms of Orion can get all the love that it deserves.
No, I'm not saying that. No. I agree with mostly everything you just said, and I think those are the reasons why. I think what I'm saying is, and we're talking about the high water mark of a career, and it's a thing that most people are going to see to at least bring. If someone said Prince, probably one of the first pictures or things they're gonna pull up is something related to Purple Rain. Whether, however, no matter how I feel about it. That's the high water mark of the mainstream, of top of mind to most people that aren't us. And so my point is to say the one thing that they're probably going to see to bring them in, I just think we have to be careful to because we have knowledge, deeper knowledge of this situation, to not seem like we're closing the door on what is bringing them in a little bit. It's not to say you have to like it, you don't. But that's why I said I'm just making the point to other people who may see this later, who are getting into Prince and may want to read this book, and they might be like, "Wow, I wonder, am I supposed to like this album?" Because it seems like these guys are hardcore. It feels like they kind of have a slight little hesitation toward it, and I'm trying to get them to understand why it may come off that way. So I'm not to say that you're supposed to like it, but I just want you're listening in context of this show, you're listening to hardcore Prince fans talk about Prince. And we done went from top to bottom to top of his catalog for 40 plus years. So yeah, we're going to have a certain viewpoint on it. You might be coming into this new and trying to understand why we're talking like this. I'm just trying to put out there, this is why. It's not to say that we're supposed to love this album, but understand that we might be a little biased and jaded because we've been listening to the rehearsals. We don't listen to the songs that were in process to make this album, and we're judging it by having all of this insider information that some people don't. Like if somebody gave them uh, I don't know, whatever a touch point album in music history could be like a Public Enemy or something. And I knew, and I was in the hip hop producers world, and I knew the drum machine that they use, and I understand the SB12 made it sound this way, and they could have used this drum. And if I started doing that, and you're just getting into the album, it might be you're like, why are they doing this? This sounds dope. It sounds incredible. I never heard nothing like that. Well, because you're in the midst of people who are super immersed in this, and we just know it so much. And that's all I'm just trying to give context to that. I'm not trying to say you need to love this album. You don't, but I'm just saying, like, I think as we're leading the conversation on this album, like, we sometimes got to be careful not to bias it. We don't want to bias it out. And if we are biasing out, then we're saying this is why we're like that. So you understand where we're coming from when we're sort of like, this song is like, it never really moved me. Though to some people coming in like, wow, When Doves Cry is the greatest thing I ever heard. I don't understand. So that's my point, if that makes any sense.
No, it makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense. And I guess my response would be, maybe we shouldn't, and more specifically, maybe I shouldn't talk about how certain songs affect me or not affect me, and sort of take the Buddhist way of it's like I mean,
I think it's the thing of when you give the news, do you give your opinion? And I think sometimes when we sit on the outside of that, we're giving information, but we're also giving opinion.
Right.
Damn right. So I want you to understand that we're probably giving you opinion over the other stuff, and understand that's frames the way that we're talking. So there is a bias in it.
Yeah.
Again, you're around hardcore professors of Prince. So
Right.
the conversations will be a little different. And we may be it may seem like we're a little harder on some of these songs. And harder may be a hard thing to say, but I say that in the sense that we used the word hate earlier. So I don't want people, you see what I'm saying? That's where I'm coming from.
Yeah. Okay. But I like this comment from Kim, because this kind of helps. And this is actually something that I actually struggle with, Michael, to be honest, with my Prince work, is that I really do make most of the stuff that I do for Prince nerds, meaning, and I know that you're committed, and I am committed. I don't want to ostracize any new fans. Obviously, the more Prince fans, the merrier. I am not a gatekeeper by any means. So, and anybody who knows me knows that I love,
Absolutely.
love Prince. And I have Purple Rain, the album. I just got the Walmart picture disc of Purple Rain. I have I have the original version of this book, the expanded version of this book. I bought the Purple Rain Live from Syracuse vinyl set. I have the CD set. I have all the singles. I could bring them out right now. I have all the 12 inches. From
Which goes into your mindset. That's the point, right?
Yeah.
You have all of that.
So, it's just, I don't
Yeah, I think her point is that the nerds will understand. Absolutely. We're on the fence of both of them, probably leaning more into the nerdy part of it.
Yeah.
Which is great,
Yep.
But I'm just saying it's gonna go beyond where we're at now. So
Yeah.
thinking head-wise, this is gonna be seen 5, 10 years later when we gone, and I want them to know, yeah, it's all right. You may be one day like us, but it's all come in where you're at. We all welcome here. We all gonna do our thing. But with that said, I'm gonna let you got it.
Okay. All right. So we're going to go into Wednesday. And we're going to, I'm going to let you read that, Michael, page 166.
Okay. Oh man, Purple Rain. Start with the quote. He's truly a genius level musician. Everything I saw him do as far as his time and playing on Purple Rain, that was something. I think he always puts himself under musical pressure to make it as genius as he could. And that was David Leonard. Prince seemed committed to taking his music to the next level in his career. He wasn't looking for a small jump, but seemed to be wanting a change in direction, one that built on the large sound of 1999, but added more of a rock element. Relying on his influences, he pushed for a new summit. Albert Magnolia, who had been in Los Angeles finishing up the script, had various meetings with him during this time. Having spent time studying Prince and his music fairly closely, Magnolia had had some insight into the evolution of his sound. Prince was a hybrid of Sam Cooke, who we don't give enough praise to,
Nope.
Little Richard, Jimi Hendrix, and James Brown. And not only that, what about Sly and the Family Stone? And what's the thing that's going to make you stand out? Keyboards? I doubt that. Guitar. Prince made most of the music for the Purple Rain album with the concept of the film in mind, explained Alan Leeds. And visually, the idea of a rock icon with a guitar posed with his legs open has a lot more cinematic impact than a guy standing at a keyboard. So I think just the fact that this guy saw himself as a movie star making a rock musical, dictated that he made sure he gave himself the vehicles to do his guitar stick because it was a role. This is the imagery. Mm. Having the time as the surrogate for Prince's funky side gave him freedom to head in a more rock and roll oriented direction, which was ultimately good for the movie and good for continuing his crossover appeal. The Revolution, including drummer Bobby Z, agreed. Purple Rain is just one of those moments as a band that you live for. For the From the first moment of rehearsal, when I heard the strains of it on Prince's piano, to the last time we played it live at the Myth on May 25, 2013, after Bobby had recovered from his heart attack. Lord. It just really has something about it. The way it crescendos, the way it crashes, and the way the guitar solo takes you to a place where you feel different about your life. No matter what, when you hear those opening chords of Purple Rain, you just stop time somehow and just listen. Prince worked on the mix of Purple Rain for almost 10 hours, but no cassette copy was made of the evening's mix at the end of the session. A decision was made to complete it the next day. Magnolia left the following day for Minneapolis to continue pre-production for the movie. Hmm.
All right, so Prince and crew, they still haven't started filming the movie. We're still pre-production for the movie.
I like what we're talking about here. Like it's a conceited effort to use the guitar and make that, the imagery of the rock star almost seems like that's driving part of this production. Like, yeah, he couldn't be. It almost reminds me of when D'Angelo first came out. He was just behind the keyboard on that first tour, and I remember watching that tour, and I was like, "Damn, this is dope as hell." But he's just sitting there. I don't know how that's gonna work. And then he clicks with him the next go around. Six pack D'Angelo is a whole different. Becomes a star. He becomes on some sex god is a whole other thing, but it's the same, so I can see Prince like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna be the rock god. Purple Rain, I'm gonna get my guitar, I'm gonna be, you know.
Yeah. I mean, when I was reading this, when Durain wrote it's actually the second sentence, he wasn't looking for a small jump, but seemed to be wanting a change in direction. One that built on the large sound of 1999, but added more of a rock element. That kind of bothered me, only because like he's always had a rock element. Beginning with the for you with I'm Yours, with the second album with Bambi, and then you get Dirty Mind, which is punk rock punk, whatever you want to call it. And then Controversy, there's a lot of guitar, there as well. 1999, again, was beginning to veer towards, and did veer towards pop. So I don't know. I just kind of feel some kind of way because
I feel
I
you.
just I feel like Rock was there the entire time, and Prince. I mean, obviously, Dez was holding down the live, but Prince was playing a lot of that guitar in the studio. Um,
I think yeah, Little Red Corvette was the inclination that you could go into that crossover, the 80s rock, rock and roll, pop lane. I think Purple Rain goes all the way into that. Like it leans into that. And at that time, that was the thing that was big, the rock star type dude. He always had it, but I don't know if he had aligned it where that was going to be an intentional. I'm gonna make sure that there's a lane that I can fit into specifically that I could freak that lane. I could master that lane specifically if I wanted to do that. I was already had that on my songs, but I can make this whole thing based on that with the times of MTV and where we were at in the culture. I think Purple Rain is I guess it's exactly that. Like he is that. The same thing you get hints of it with something like Free. But here, I think with Purple Rain, like, I'm gonna make the anthem. Let me go. Like to me, Purple Rain is the anthem of that type of that rock anthem in the same way that Adore is. Let me just make the coldest slow jam, the slow it all slow jams ever, and can't nobody touch it. It's the same type of way. But Purple Rain is just purely it's a mainstream moment captured in time. Why is that the focal point of the movie? Which I didn't even like it in the movie, the performance of Purple Rain. But I get why in that time frame, yeah, in this time, that's what probably blow up because that's what they want. That's what people that's what the mainstream want to hear, that kind of stuff. And
yeah,
he's leaning.
yeah, I like this comment from Modern, and I love that Modern, and I love your Rude Boy. Added more of a Journey element, the big
Mhm.
crossover power ballad. Journey being the band for people who might not know. And there's a lot of great comments in the chat. I won't go back too far, but I love this. Another comment from Monair. Prince was a hybrid. Been saying this for many, many years. He was the baby that rock and roll gave birth to. Mila says, I will say I never thought about Sam Cooke as being a reference, but I guess so when I think about P's first album. You can definitely hear Sam Cooke throughout, particularly with Prince's vocal delivery. Monair is saying you hear Al Green, you hear Smokey Robinson, you hear Marvin Gaye, you even Jane female influences. You even hear Sylvester for crying out loud. And Vanessa, it's really interesting. I had always heard that Prince loved Idolmaker, and I finally watched Idolmaker this year, and I definitely see some of that. And then Harold Joy says, Purple Rain is a perfect pop rock album. Miles Davis had it played in the car nonstop from beginning to end, and starting over again, according to his nephew. I love this comment. This is why Prince made that guitar talk.
Can I throw just another thing in here real quick? Now, did anybody see these comments from this gentleman who apparently started Rolling Stone magazine? Have you seen these comments that came out last couple days?
Yes. Yeah. And to be honest, I don't want to talk about him. I don't even want to give.
No, I just to say, because and to see when we get to go chasing the crossover and all, you can see these sort of gatekeepers. They ain't even want, and the cold part is they ain't even want to. They don't even see you as articulate with whatever he said. When I believe that song, when the name of that magazine doesn't that come from a Buddy Walk? Was it Buddy Miles or something? So we don't need to be chasing none of that. I just throwing this out there. I'm glad we ain't got to chase nothing no more because yeah, let them come to us. Let me stop.
Yeah. Yep. I'm with Mila. Yep. But the thing is, it's not like Modern Air. If you just Google, it's everywhere. If you go on social media, it's definitely on Twitter. Everybody's talking about it. And for me, like it's kind of like you don't want to retweet negativity, and I don't want to talk about that because we're talking about Prince, who is one of the most amazing musicians
Mhm.
that was on the cover of some of those magazines, and
Right.
just wild to think about. And in reading that, I truly would love to know the numbers, that like how many copies did Prince sell versus like how many copies did that first issue with Vanity and Prince on it did in terms of numbers compared to the I would love to know that information
Mm.
because, for a period in the 80s, he was on there a lot. And if Prince didn't sell, they wouldn't have put him on the cover as many times as they did. So I don't know.
Well, yeah, we wanna go down that road. Us selling something ain't got that's the only reason they will deal with you
Well, that's
because you're gonna make them some money, right? They
yeah,
don't want to, but
yeah,
we don't go.
yeah. We're not gonna go down there because we're talking about Purple Rain. All right, so we are going to go to Thursday, which is September 15th. And we have 11.5 hours, 1 p.m. to 12:30 a.m. Purple Rain mix, as well as mix and overdubs for Irresistible B, one of the most amazing songs ever recorded, in my personal opinion. But
Mhm,
I
mhm.
shouldn't be talking about my opinion. Okay, so here we go.
Got a little shade. Hilarious.
Okay, I'm gonna read.
Uh,
And we got a quote. I'm sorry, I'm making my own self crack up. This is Susan Rogers. Prince often started with drums in a recording situation. They were of paramount importance to him. He'd either come in and lay down a drum track on the machine or walk over to the drum kit and tape the lyrics to the tom tom so he could sing the song in his head as he was playing. Mind you, he never had a click track going.
mm.
Mind you, he never had a click track going. All the music and arrangements would be worked out in his head, and he just played the fills where he thought he'd need them. Every time I listen or hear someone describe this, and thinking of the way it was described to me about how he recorded the first 4 tracks of Madhouse, like he just
Mhm.
laid down the drums in sequence in succession with no breaks.
What are you
That's
talking about parade?
No, I'm talking about Madhouse.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, Madhouse. It's crazy. So Prince spent 7.5 hours working on the final mix for Purple Rain. The calm before the storm was ending, and there were more and more distractions with more obligations, meetings, and visits, changing the vibe of his studio work.
Mm.
There was something about the studio that was like a womb that wrapped around you for protection. And we had Studio 3 pretty much to ourselves, reflects McCreary. We had a bathroom, we had a kitchen, and we would shut ourselves off from everything. We didn't need to go out. And so, since Studio 3 was a separate building, nobody came in. Nobody dared walk back there. I didn't realize that Studio 3 was a separate building. That's really interesting. But I do remember we read a couple weeks ago that it had its own, entrance and everything. So that makes a lot of sense. But then eventually people started showing up, the bodyguards, etc. And it was different once the business started to grow and the distractions happened. I
Mm.
don't think he was as focused once he started to do the movies. This is a really interesting comment from
Who is
Peggy
this talking?
Mack.
Oh,
It's
Peggy.
Peggy Mack, yeah. I don't think he was as focused once he started to do the movies. Now, Peggy isn't the first person who has said something like this in regards to the movies. And when I say the movies, I mean all of them, like, Under the Cherry Moon, Graffiti Bridge, the whole 9 yards. Despite Prince's schedule and the addition of multiple people in the studio, he was singularly focused on this song. Unlike many musicians who collapse under pressure, Prince seemed to thrive on the challenge. His manager, Steve Fargnoli, explained Prince's mindset during periods like this, where other guys go out and buy cars and buy drugs and buy jets. This kid is not interested in that. He's interested in things that satisfy his creative urge. And as always, Prince's creative urge involved sharing his newest music in some form. Prince was working on Purple Rain, the album, and Purple Rain, the movie, as well as keeping his name in the public eye. The year 1983 was the first since the release of his debut album that Warner Brothers hadn't issued a new collection of his songs. Instead, they continued to mine tracks from his 1999 album. Now, in real time, this was painful because, like, you got used to the cadence of Prince releasing a new album every year. So, 1980 album, 1981 album, 1982 album, 83 no album. It's like painful. But we had the 12 inches, and that's the reason why I think they're so important to me because of all the B-sides and everything that we would get. It had now been a year since the album was unveiled, and a fourth single, Let's Pretend We're Married, was chosen for release in mid-November. Prince decided to update Irresistible B, a track he'd recorded a year earlier on September 7th, 1982 at his home studio in Minneapolis. That version was actually a re-recording of a song he first tracked in 1981. The last 90 minutes were spent reviewing the track and reworking the elements of the song, eliminating several of the instruments and sounds to make it much more sparse. It was unlikely that any additional vocals were recorded on this date, and work on the track would continue during the following session. Now, let me finish reading this. Although it has been rumored that Morris Day played drums on Irresistible B, there is no confirmation of that claim. And Dr. Funkenberry asked him that a couple weeks ago, and he was like, he couldn't remember. It could have been Prince or it could have been him. There seems to be two reasons for this rumor. The first is based on Prince's comments in the booklet from his Crystal Ball CD. In it, he remarked that a new style of playing derived from this recording style, and several songs were cut in the same vibe, the coolest being Irresistible B. Only Morris and Prince were present on this recording. Prince was discussing the track Chlorine Bacon Skin, but others have inferred that Morris played on Irresistible B as well. The second reason is that Irresistible B and Chlorine Bacon Skin basically share the same beat. Since the track was originally recorded at Prince's home studio, Dade's participation is unclear and has not been verified, and will never be verified, it seems like, because Morris can't remember. And I mean, who can remember? I can't remember what I did yesterday. So, I mean, that was so long ago. Status, Irresistible B, 6 minutes and 4 seconds would be edited. This is painful. 4 minutes and 13 seconds. Edit went from 6 minutes and 4 seconds to 4 minutes and 13 seconds. We need those additional 2 minutes. And issued as a single on November 16, 1983 as a B-side for the 12-inch of Let's Pretend We're Married. The original 4 minutes and 32 seconds from 1981 remains unreleased, although Let's Pretend We're Married was the fourth regular U.S. single release from 1999, following 1999, Little Red Corvette and Delirious. It was the sixth overall. DMSR was released as a promo in the UK, and AUTO-Matic was released in Australia before Let's Pretend We're Married. Now, reading this and rereading this, because it's like, I've read this multiple times, but sometimes I forget what I've read. So what really struck me this time around was him removing tracks from, kind of doing a When Doves Cry on Irresistible B. Remember, he removed, obviously the bass, but he removed other stuff from When Doves Cry. But he did the same thing with Irresistible B. So it would be really interesting to hear that original version with all the tracks that he had removed placed back in it. I would love to hear that.
Absolutely. Yeah, that is irresistible bitch. That's what it's called. Is that like the first of the jam B-sides? I don't think it was the first B-side, but like the first man.
Yeah, it was the one. It was, yeah, because like the first B-side, at least for me, it's Gotta Stop Messing About, which is the B-side of Less Work. And I love Gotta Stop Messing About. But I said this, I think a couple weeks ago, I remember exactly where I was. I can see it as clear as day when I first listened to Irresistible B. And I remember the first time my Uncle Charles heard it, because I played it for him, and he went ballistic. He loved it. It was incredible. So I don't know, it was very, very that was very, very special.
Yeah, that started the tradition of, the erotic cities, the Housequake, or what's the other?
La 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 He was one of mine.
Yeah, La La La. It's just that
Scarlet P.
the song that was gonna blow the A side out, like
Yeah.
that Prince.
Yeah. 17 days, all of it. Yeah. All right. So let's get to Friday. Friday,
Friday. What was Friday?
got G-Spot,
Ooh.
overdubs, Irresistible B, mix and overdubs. And we got 12 hours, 4 p.m. to 4 a.m. I understand why. Those songs are infectious. Yeah. All right. I'll take it away. Let's start with the quote.
So, all right. This is Morris Day. Prince is a very funky drummer. As a lead guitarist, he does all that incredible soloing, but funk is his strong point, and he's got that mastered on the drums. That's right. Long sessions were the norm for Prince, and for weeks he'd been burning the candle at both ends. On this date, G Spot, which was on the same reel as Irresistible Bitch. I just want to stop here. Can you imagine, what you working on, man? Go ahead and put that 2-inch reel on, and that's the two. I think somebody mentions earlier, people are scared to come in the studio, intimidated. I would be like, this is ridiculous. Like, anyway. What was that?
Let me play it one more time for you. Maybe you can figure it out.
Damn, I can hear it, but I don't. Oh,
it's the from something that fell out of the sky last week.
Oh, you on that time? Okay. Let me start reading. Lord. On this date, G Spot, which was on the same reel as Irresistible Bitch,
oh my goodness,
was taken out of the vault for some additional overdubbing. It had been recorded during the summer, and Prince was probably trying to decide which track would work best as the B-side for Let's Pretend We're Married. Whichever song he picked, it would have to complement the highly flipped page sexual A-side, which contained the phrase, now we'll edit here, I sincerely want the taste out your mouth. That's Prince. This is the Prince when we're trying to prophesy. That's the time Prince was on. Don't ever let it get mistaken. He was on that time. So we're talking about Prince. The choice was between a song that was months old or an even older song that he was reworking and updating this week. Not surprisingly, he chose his most recent work. Approximately 90 minutes of overdubbing may have been done on G-Spot, but it was set aside. The track was originally considered for the Purple Rain project. I think G-Spot was supposed to be the shocker, recalled Bobby Z, and I think that Darling Nikki was written, and it was a better one. After a short dinner break, Prince continued updating the revised version of Irresistible Bitch. One thing, Dwayne, find out what they had on dinner for dinner next time, because they must have been eating something funky. Because what was they eating? And then he's like, man, let's go work on Irresistible Bitch. Yeah, okay. The next 9.5 hours were spent mixing the track into a cold and sparse song, blending a few new elements into the spaces left by removing some of the old mix. A spoken section where he repeated the phrase, I want you, and irresistible, which were placed in reverse approximately 25 seconds into the track, were kept buried deep in the mix.
Okay, let's stop there. We won't read that, just to catch up. So I can't believe that G Spot and Irresistible B were on the same reel. I mean,
That's funky
really?
stuff. Mhm.
Oh my God. That's incredible. It really is. How you okay. Well, we're gonna have this conversation.
You know, just the G Spot Irresistible Bitch. I'm sorry. You could almost make a time album like that. Those could be the center points of
Yeah.
a time. Like if it expanded, those songs would end up being jams, and then just had a couple of slow jams around them. That would have been another time album. That would have been a cold album. Oh, irresistible. I love the way you walk. You know, it would have irresistible. Morris on the G. Break the G spot, baby. Bring it on, yeah.
Oh my God. Okay. So how do you feel about G Spot being on Purple Rain instead of Darling Nikki?
Again, I kind of just go back to Darling Nikki was such a big thing of the movie. You know, again, Prince humping the stage, and that's classic. Like he was clowning. So I would have to see how the performance of that song would have been in the movie for me to be able to judge that. Now, on their own, I would prefer G Spot. That's the cut to me. But in the context of it being in the movie, though, I'd be curious to how he would have done that. Like,
Yeah, indeed. All right. We're going to move on to our last day, which is Saturday. And we got Mo Irresistible B, but with vocal overdubs by Wendy and Lisa. And we're in the studio from 4 p.m. until 10:30 p.m. So 6.5 hours. And I will read this. It's a little short. All right. So this is Wendy. We found each other intellectually and spiritually stimulating, but both Lisa and I were so supportive of him intellectually and creatively that I think he responded to it. We were attracted to each other's brains. So Prince brought in Wendy and Lisa to add to the background vocals on Irresistible B. Lisa and I were really close friends with him, reflecting Melvoin in 2012. So when you're hanging out with your buddies, you're sharing music, sharing ideas, sharing philosophies. And by that time, he wasn't a huge mega superstar. So there was much more of a reasonable connection you could have on a daily basis. So we spent a lot of time together, the three of us, and we all had the same likes and dislikes. And the humor was very similar. And I think he also felt very safe with Lisa and I because we were a couple. I'm going to skip the next paragraph again to give you something to read and end with after 5.5 hours of vocal overdubs, a cassette was made and the short session ended at 10:30 p.m. Now, it's, reading the, I mean, I actually had this epiphany right in this moment, even though I have read this a gazillion times. When I listen to Irresistible B, I always think of Lisa. I never think of Lisa and Wendy. I never, because so up until this point, I was super used to hearing Lisa back Prince's voice. And I thought it was like, and Jill, but like Lisa, because, like her work on the time, the stick and all that. And just like Lisa was first. And I don't know, I really loved how her voice complemented Prince's. And when Wendy came in the mix, just because of her register, which is lower, much lower than Lisa's, it changed the quality of the background vocals. Meaning like they were different, not quality is wrong, right? It's just that they were different. The same way that Prince's background vocals were different when Bonnie came on board, right? Bonnie and Sheila, and Levi, that was a different tone or quality to the background vocals. So when I listen to Irresistible, I still just hear Lisa. I don't hear what I consider to be the Wendy and Lisa. Because like for me, the quintessential Wendy and Lisa song is like I Wonder You, in terms of kind of being like that iconic merging of musical spirits and stuff like that. So it's just really interesting. I now need to go back and listen to that song and just try to hear Wendy, because I always think of Lisa. I never think of Lisa and Wendy when I think of that song.
Also, I wanted to go back to, I think it was the manager. I don't know if I feel some kind of way sometimes. Maybe I'm a little look into it too much. Like when they call him kid, I don't know, something about that just kind of like, it was a man though. He was, why is he called the kid? Why'd they call him the kid like that? I always thought that was kind of funny to me. And also, I'm just questioning. I would just love what they meant by when Wendy's saying, I think he always felt very safe with Lisa and I because we were a couple. What do you think she meant by that? That he felt safe because they was a couple? Safe from what?
I know that's a good question. I guess, safe to be himself. Um,
Interesting.
that's my read. So what Dwayne is establishing here is that they were friends, that they spent a lot of time together, and you do and say things with your friends that you wouldn't necessarily do or say with strangers. So you just feel like you can be more of yourself. And
Wouldn't he have like Morris and Jesse and them? Wasn't he safe with them too?
well, that's a very good
I
point.
knew them before them, but
Yeah, that's a very good point. I can't rebut that, Michael. Yeah. I don't know. We need to bring Dwayne on, and maybe he can answer that. Um All right. So, we're at the end, but we're not at the end. We got because we got a lot more to talk about. So let's get through our deck real quick, or maybe not. Oh, this is interesting. I like Susu's. Susu's is saying safe might mean no sexual tension.
what was unsafe about sexual tension?
Well, I can tell you as a female, if you're
She feels safe because she said he felt safe. But go ahead.
no, I can't rebut that. You're absolutely right, Michael. Yep. I'm with you.
Maybe he felt they were sexual limits with Lisa. Yeah. I was just asking questions. I'm just curious.
Yep. And then Mila is saying maybe because they were a couple, we didn't have to worry about them coming onto him. Kim is saying no dude, pro energy in the room. Yeah, and maybe it meant feel safe to express his feminine side.
He had been doing it on records far before that, but I hear you. Maybe that's
Yeah.
what it's different now. I guess when we joke is that's different. I guess something different about this. That's all good.
Yeah. All right. So let's get through this. Okay. So far in 1983, 66 studio visits total. And I'm not going to read this because we don't have time for that. All right. So this is our purple word. What's going on in the purple world section? What did Prince do this week? And I just got to say, Liv Warfield's album, The Edge, is out now. Definitely pick it up. Definitely stream it. Please support independent artists. Real music by real musicians. She's incredible. Last night, she had a listening party at the Cutting Room in New York, which I attended, and a lot of the New York Prince fans did. We had a blast. It was really great. She was very emotional. It's been a long time since her last solo record, so it's a huge deal for her. So I hope that you'll go support her. She's actually going to be performing tonight at SOPAC in South Orange, New Jersey, and there's still tickets, so you can definitely go and see her. And she's actually coming to the Fine Line in Minneapolis on the 18th, and then she's going to go on the West Coast to Yoshi's on the 19th, and then she's going to be in Seattle at Tractor Tavern on the 20th. So for those of you on the West Coast, please support Liv. Then she's going to the Jazz Cafe in London, so a place I've always wanted to go. I really like Omar used to perform there a lot. So lots of dates. So please support Liv. She definitely deserves it.
Yes, yes. And just to jump in them comments, I see you're talking about but wasn't he safe with Jill Jones? He was doing all the feminist stuff. Why was he not safe?
I got your point. Yep.
Come on, one.
It's okay. It's okay. We could do that. And then let's see. Christina says, "Can't wait to get Liv CD. It's really, really awesome. It's actually a very Dirty Mind like in that it's like less than 40 minutes, so it's like 30 minutes or something. So it's like it's short but amazing, and there's nothing wrong with that. And let's see. On Friday, September 22nd, this is actually an image by Steve Park, but there's going to be an opening reception at Mentor Newark, which is an organization that helps the youth in Newark, New Jersey. And there's going to be Rich Benson has a collection of photos. So if you're in the New York, New Jersey, Philly area, maybe you'll come out and support Mentor Newark and also see some hopefully cool Prince photos. And then we can't forget about Jerome, who is doing a screening of Under the Cherry Moon in Inglewood. Again, the West Coast, you guys got a lot of stuff going on September 30th. I really would love to go see this, but the box sets have taken all my money. So I hope that you will go and support Jerome and Under the Cherry Moon. It's really important.
Yes.
And I want to give a very, very special shout out to Nick Felden for pointing this out to me, that on September 13th was the anniversary of Solid Gold. I personally have very fond memories of Solid Gold because I saw Prince perform 1999, and it was actually released in January of 83, but it was recorded in December of 82. And then he actually aired Little Red Corvette, which was filmed April 5th, 1983, and I think it was released in May of 1983. So Prince appeared on Solid Gold twice in 1983, and we're talking about 1983, so that's the Solid Gold tie-in for those of you who need a tie-in. And I failed to talk about this last Saturday, because last Saturday was September 9th, and it was Love Sexy Day. And you know what? I haven't even done this today, so we got to do that. This is an incredible Twitter thread that Edgar did. I highly suggest, if you're still on Twitter, to check it out. He really breaks down the whole Dortmund show in only a way that Edgar can do. Obviously, Love Sexy is my personal favorite tour that I got to see live twice in Atlanta. And I've seen the Dortmund show so many times. It's not even funny, because that's like my go-to concert for a long time before I was able to get a lot of other concerts. So definitely check out the thread, but even more than that, watch the Dortmund show, particularly if you have never seen the Dortmund show. Now, in the accompanying playlist for last week's show, someone has posted it on YouTube, so you can watch the entire concert. I highly recommend that you do so. And yes, Dee, we always learn so much from Edgar. And yes, we do want to shout out Solid Gold.
What's your favorite part of that Love Sexy concert?
you might think this is funny. I can't believe I'm going to say this, but Bob George.
Really? Okay.
I love the whole Black Album part of the Love Sexy show, but Bob George in particular. But I guess, but that is truly my favorite part. But if I had to give a more respectability politic answer,
hilarious,
it would be Anastasia.
Okay.
Yeah, because I feel like he feels it. At least I feel like he's feeling it, and it really translates. How about you?
Two favorites. One is
Yeah.
If I Had a Harem part.
Mhm.
Oh, I love that.
And that guitar part, ding.
All of that. That's just like blows me away every time I see that. And also the piano section,
Mm.
particularly 2 parts of that, or maybe 3. The beginning, if you really listen to when he starts doing those little vocal stuff at the very, very beginning of that, where it's just showing the crowd, and he's like, all I love when he just be on the mic doing that kind of stuff. And then Strange Relationships during that is so dope. And I love the ending of it with To Our Own Love. And Eric's playing. They do the Madhouse thing, kind of going out. It's golden.
Yeah, it's so many golden, like, yeah, and because Blade Brown, I Wish You Have an Extended Jam.
Everybody in here can do something. Bonnie, it's your house.
Oh, Bonnie.
Mm, mm, mm.
Yeah, and let's see, Mary says, I regret that Prince's guitar wasn't working for the guitar solo in Anastasia, live from the Dortmund show. Yes. Awesome. Drea dances. I'm so glad that someone understands. Bob George is so hilarious. It never fails when I need to pick up. I just, that's all I got to do. And Kim says the show must go on through the guitar technical difficulties.
Somebody got hell over that too.
Oh, yeah.
Would love to hear what he said into Levi and Miko's ears, and he was like, "Go on and take it out." Love this guy. He was hot. But he handled it like a professional, though.
Of course. Yeah, but I would have loved to have heard what happened after the show for sure. Also, we got to give another shout out to Edgar for this incredible Manic Monday movie poster that I absolutely love. There's so many gems in this. First of all, I love the byline, and this time they go to the wire.
Hilarious.
And then there's like a pull quote from the Controversy Daily. They're filthy cute and baby, they know it. And then I love Cream, The Misadventures of Diamond and Pearl, episode 2. There's just like so many. This is so fantastic. And another thing I love about it is how it looks like, in New York, they do the wheat pasting or whatever you call it to put on the, the walls and stuff. So it's like a little wrinkly, like it's been put up on like a wall or something. It's so cool.
Who makes these? I should know.
Edgar.
Oh, he's the one making those?
Yeah.
Oh man. Salute to you.
Yeah. It's
awesome. Yeah.
They're amazing. It really is. And I just gotta do this.
Yeah, sexy.
Yeah. Love Sexy is the one till my day is done. All right. And let's see. Not just a few more. Whoever posted this.
All right.
Mad shout out to whoever created this image. It is so funny.
Now that's the vote.
Yeah, that I just thought this was brilliant. So whoever
Premium deluxe edition. $5,000.
Yeah. So salute to whomever created this image. Thank you.
The cold part about it, somebody in the fan base would still complain. Well, how come they didn't have this? And like, nigga, they got a whole damn shipping crate.
Yeah. All right. So we got 42 days and counting. Oh my God. And in 42 days, it's probably not even accurate because, shipping is usually some delays. So, but we're going to be hopeful. So we can't wait to get either these 12 vinyls or 7 CDs. But the key is the Blu-ray. That's what I'm really waiting for. The Blu-ray. That's all I can talk about.
You have to do a watch along for this, actually. I think about it.
That would be fantastic. I love the idea of a walk. We got to make it happen. All right. Diamonds and Pearls. You can pre-order it. I'm ready. I hope you are too. We've already talked about Michael's amazing interview with Robia. Do you want to say anything about your time with Robia? How it was for you?
Just that she made it easy. shout out to Robia agreeing to do it. Shout out to Tia, Prince fan and listener. She hooked me up with her. So thank you for that. It was great. And also, I have to shout it out. I'm not gonna let it go by. Shout out to Dr. Funkenberry because they did a live as well.
Yep, we got that.
Yeah,
I haven't forgotten right after.
there you go.
I want you to talk about yours first. And then Dr. Funkenberry did one, a live one Thursday night.
Hmm.
I want to say, and it was also awesome because they had a lot of artifacts. They were kind of dueling with their artifacts that they had. So that was really awesome to see. And so you can get more Robia if you look at Dr. Funkenberry's, and both were great. And then, like I said, I'm personally looking forward to the Super Deluxe virtual celebration that we're going to have on December 9th and 10th. So please save the dates. And this is our accompanying playlist for the week. And there are more songs of the playlist than listed here. And next week, we are going to be reading pages 171 to 178, Sunday, September 18th through Wednesday, September 21st. And if I remember correctly, we're going to have a guest. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And yes, Just Rules. I cannot stress enough. You got to watch Mike's interview with Robia. It was really, really awesome. I think it's definitely one of the best you've ever done. And you've done a lot of interviews and they're all awesome. But it was something special about this one.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Yeah. And I think this is a great way to end. It's going to be a celebration. The Super Deluxe edition of Diamonds and Pearls is going to be great. I personally can't wait.
Just let that sit for a second. Like, we're about to get basically a box set of Prince, some songs we have not heard before. And we're just going to be able to I can't wait for that to come. Whatever day that happens, I'm just going to sit back and just bask in it, man. I'm like doing nothing. Drop it, listen, watch, read all the stuff, read the essays, pictures. It's beautiful. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. I can't wait. Something to look forward to.
Yes. So, Michael, you actually said the magic words. What I loved about Prince is that he always gave me something to look forward to. And what's crazy is we still have Prince stuff to look forward to. Like, life can't get any better than that. It really can't.
Yeah.
So with that, we are going to call it a day. I hope you have a really fantastic Saturday. Take us out, Michael Dean.
Work it like a job. We'll see you next time. Peace.
All right. And I got to end on this one. Love this. The gift that keeps on giving.